everybody. It is a Friday edition of Weather Weenies, which will bring you into and through the weekend. It's just me here in the studio today, but good to have you along. Ryan Breton here. We've got a lot to talk about because we're coming to the close of the month of July, which is hard for me to believe this month went by like that. Heading into August, and our weather is looking a little warmer and a little bit more humid next week. Of course, this week and really the last half of this month has been pretty comfortable. But the big story this month of July, the rainfall, only 63/100ths of an inch of rain in Portland compared to average. That's more than 2.5 inches below average. In northern Maine, it was closer to average. Caribou came in with nearly 4 inches of rain, but you can see central Maine, a pretty decent deficit there as well. Now, we'll have to see where the final numbers come in, but through this morning, Portland is now third driest July on record. I say we just have to see how this pans out because there is a small chance we get a shower before the end of the day today. And as you see, we do have a little wiggle room between 63/100ths and 3/4 of an inch, which is fourth place. But this is also interesting in that our precipitation records in Portland go all the way back to 1871. It's kind of interesting because most places, the temperature record and the precipitation record periods are the same. But in the case of the Portland observation site, it moved many times in the 1800s and early 1900s. So they found that they could use the precipitation data. There was a whole study done, and if you Google it, a big like 50-page PDF comes up. But at one point, the site was actually down on Exchange Street. I believe it was Exchange Street, on the top of a building. So you really can't use the temperature data when it's on like a black rooftop. So once it was moved to the Jetport in 1941, that's where consistent temperature records have been taken, and precipitation for that matter too. But it was determined we can use the whole length of data for precip. So to be in the third spot, that says something about how dry this July has been. And obviously that's coming off of what was quite a wet June. So we really like flipped the switch here. And, you know, it kind of pains me to have to talk about a drought again because that's what we talked about basically, let's see, all last summer, all last fall, and into the winter and spring. And we did a good job chipping away at that. But given how dry it has been this month, and we mentioned if we got into a dry pattern, it could come back to an extent. And the drought monitor does have the mid-coast, Penobscot Bay area, southern Maine, in a moderate drought. It would be pretty easy to flip this around if we were to get substantial rainfall in August or September, but not great in the fact that I've heard from people who naturally their lawns are now brown. That's easy to do when you don't have rain for 3 weeks, but also some well issues. So that's something we'll continue to monitor, and hopefully we get into a little bit of a wetter pattern in August. Before I get to August, I do want to talk about the temperatures this month too, because this is fascinating. It was so hot the first half of the month, so much so that something like between the 1st and the 15th, we were the warmest on record if you just take those first 15 days. But when you count the whole month, well, the averages get dragged way down because the second half of the month is so much cooler. The gray squares you see on here representing days that are average, and we figure out the average for the date by taking the high and the low, adding them together and dividing by 2. So all the red squares, days with above average temperatures, the blue ones below average. I just have the highs listed as the numbers on here because that's how most people relate how the day probably felt to them. But you can see we had that 96 on the 2nd of July. We hit 90 on the 9th, 90 on the 15th. And then after the 15th, the pattern flipped. And on the Bangor one, you can really see this clearly. And I think in a lot of cases, of course, a lot of days in the 70s, second half of the month, which is below average, but also the nights were really comfortable. And for like the last week, really, the nights have been much, much cooler than average because of the lack of humidity that we had. That's going to start to change. We have an area of high pressure that's starting to build in. And if you look at this first glance, you see a lot of clear weather to the west, but I'm not sure it's going to be totally sunny this weekend. I do think that as this high kind of moves offshore, there will still be some moisture that gets in aloft. So we're not looking at crystal clear skies both days, but it should be enough that most places this weekend don't have much rain to worry about. So we'll start you off with the forecasts for Friday night, Saturday morning. Very comfortable night, 50s north to lower 60s south. And I think Saturday there should be very little fog in the morning. There could be a little bit off the down east coast, but I don't see a whole lot anywhere else. It should be a quiet start to the day, and we'll warm up pretty quickly with lots of sunshine in the morning. It's mainly sunny through the middle of the day, and then in the afternoon, there will be some cloud cover that starts to come in and filter the sun a bit, but it's still probably mainly sunny into the afternoon. And there is the slightest chance for an isolated shower far inland. You just see a couple there, not enough to even note on the 7-day, but just be aware that if you're like hiking or camping, you could get a quick little shower. I don't see it being a problem, though, on Saturday. Also, we'll start to kick in a southeast wind in the afternoon, light, only about 5 to 10 miles per hour, but that will act as a sea breeze. So the high temperature at the coast is probably at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then we'll drop into the 70s. But it won't necessarily be a refreshing sea breeze. It'll be a muggy one with dew points that get up into the mid 60s by Saturday afternoon. Then for Sunday, still, I think that we're in decent shape. There may be a little more fog that forms Saturday night, Sunday morning. Part of that being it's going to be turning more humid. So we may wake up to fog or at least low cloud cover for a little bit Sunday morning. I think we turn partly sunny through the middle of the day. And then there is a chance that there are some showers or rumbles of thunder, mainly in the mountains, late day on Sunday. I think the coast is probably dry, and that's given we have an onshore wind out of the south and southeast. That tends to reduce any risk of anything developing near the coast. But farther north, closer to that front, there could be an afternoon storm in the mountains on Sunday. I don't think it's a widespread issue, though. Then we get a better chance for rain as all of this starts to translate east on Monday, but I'm not convinced it's a soaking yet. We'll just have to see how quickly that front actually comes through, and then how far south it gets Monday night into Tuesday. If this were to slow down some, we could get more appreciable rain on Monday, but I'm just not sold that everybody gets a good soaking. Excuse me, there probably are some places where you get some repeated downpours where the numbers will be above an inch or an inch and a half, but I just don't think it's widespread yet. So I would check in with Christian and Dana over the weekend. There's at least a chance for showers from time to time on Monday, maybe some rumbles of thunder, but it doesn't look like we get severe weather as we see it right now. After that, the pattern next week is definitely different. Look at the dew point trend. It's at least moderately humid into the middle of next week. And the pattern changes up in that right now we're in this kind of trough position of the jet stream. It's not a really clean look, and it's still kind of troughy into early next week, but a ridge over the Atlantic will try to budge up in here toward the end of next week. So that says to me muggy weather much of next week, and actually temperatures getting back above average probably several days during next week, depending on how much sunshine we see. It's not like the cleanest look, in that we may have some clouds middle of next week and chances for a few showers and storms. Right now, after Monday, I did put them on Thursday. That may be the best day for anything, but some of the models pop up showers and storms each afternoon. So there is a low chance on Wednesday and perhaps a low chance on Friday too, but as we get closer to it, we'll focus in on that. Either way, if you've got next week for vacation, I would say Monday is probably the day where it's cloudiest and wettest. Not to say it's a washout, but that's the highest chance for rain. And then the rest of the week, it looks muggy, clouds and sun with maybe a pop-up shower or storm. And I'd hint on Thursday being the day where that chance is a little bit higher. But yeah, otherwise, I think it's a decent weekend. It's tough to beat last weekend, which was just amazing. But all in all, this weekend should be pretty good. And if you're going to be at the beach to Beacon, hope to see you there. I think the weather is good for that too. Not super humid, a little humid. Strikes me as one of those days where after you've run 4 or 5 miles and you hit the sun on some of the sunny spots as you get up toward like the 4.5 mile marker, which is near Pond Cove. And then once you get into Fort Williams toward the end, might feel a little warm, but we've had hotter and worse days for sure. So I think all in all, the weather looks pretty good for the beach to Beacon. I should quickly show you the August preview, by the way. I pulled that in here. One thing I don't like about August, I guess two things. Our daylight decreases really go up, and the average temperatures really do start to slide. Average high by the end of the month, only 76. But that's where we've been like the last week, so it's not like it's chilly, but it just shows that summer's last month really around here is August, although September can still be great. Just has a little bit of a different vibe. Alrighty, well, thanks for joining me here. As always, weather-weenies at newscentermaine.com. I know we got a question about dew point overnight, by the way. I had forgotten to print that out and bring it in here, but we will address that early next week. If you have any questions, send them our way. Hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.